Just half, Mom. It's not like you need it all. The sentence lands like it always does, casual, weightless, practiced. Travis doesn't even look up from his phone as he says it. He drops his keys on the kitchen table just beside the glass tray I once used for fresh lemons. Now it holds unopened mail and receipts I can't bring myself to throw away. I'm at the sink, rinsing out the last of my tea. The faucet runs too long. My hands feel cold even under warm water. Travis opens the fridge, grabs the orange juice drink straight from the bottle. Rent's due and the shop's still behind, he adds. Like it explains everything. I glance at the drawer where I keep the pension envelope folded, neatly counted down to the dollar. This month's will cover utilities, groceries, maybe the pharmacy if I'm careful. I did the math last night in bed, scribbled it in the margin of an old coupon flyer. He doesn't wait for me to answer. Just walks over, pulls the drawer open like it's his own, and lifts the envelope. His thumb fans through the bills. "Appreciate it, Ma," he says. "Not thanks." Just that. Like I've done my duty. I nod. It's all I can do. My throat is too tight, my palms too dry. He walks out the door, slamming it lightly behind him, like always. Not a goodbye, not even a glance back. The silence afterward is heavy. I sit down, slowly, hands resting on my knees. The chair creaks under my weight. On the table, a coffee mug still lets off faint steam. I was going to ask him to sit, to tell me about the kids, to ask if he ever got that leak fixed in the back room of the shop. Instead, I watch the last of the steam rise and disappear. I don't finish the coffee. I don't move for a long time. The next day, I see the truck. 3 days later, I'm walking back from the pharmacy with an empty prescription slip in my coat pocket when I see it. The paint is glossy. Tires so new they haven't even kicked up dust yet. Travis is behind the wheel, grinning like a man on the cover of something. He sees me across the lot, honks once, then rolls down the window. "Got a deal, Mom?" he calls out. Dealer owed me a favor. Business is growing. That's the word he used last month when he said payroll was tight. The word he used when he took the last of what I'd put aside for winter heating. His boy Noah is in the front seat beside him, sipping something sugary from a drive-through cup. The stereo's low, but I can still hear the beat vibrating from the doors. Travis waves again, then drives off with a rev-like punctuation. I don't wave back. Instead, I walk home slow. There's a pinch in my chest that's been there for weeks, dull and persistent. The pharmacist wouldn't refill the meds without the full copay. I smiled, told her I'd be back next week. She didn't ask questions. I'm sure she knows. Mrs. Eller from next door knocked on my door that evening. Said she had leftover antibiotics from her bronchitis last fall. Still good, just in case. I thanked her like it was normal, like it was fine. That night, I made toast and opened a can of soup I'd been saving for Sundays. I ate it standing by the sink, listening to the house creak in its old familiar way. I used to dream about leaving something behind. A little safety, a little love. But lately, I'm not even sure I exist in Travis's story anymore. Maybe I'm just the address he shows up to on payday, the envelope he expects. I pull out the utility bill and run the numbers again. Then I cross out the protein powder I had circled in the grocery flyer. The phone rings just after 9. The woman behind the counter gives me a patient smile. "Your total's $93.72, Ms. Langley." I slide my card across, already knowing. It's the 3rd time this month I've rehearsed this moment in my head, hoping some stray refund or glitch will save me. Declined. I glance at the balance screen, $79 and change. "I'll come back," I whisper, folding the prescription into my coat. My hand trembles as I sign the receipt for the generic cough drops I added to look less desperate. Outside, the wind hits harder than I expected. I walk home slower this time, each step punctuated by the tight ache behind my eyes. At the kitchen table, I finally open the drawer with the old appointment ledger. I used to write down clients and laundry cycles in here back when the dry cleaning business was still mine. I tear out a clean page. I start writing. January 28th, $2,500 back taxes on the shop. February 26th, $3 out $200. Insurance for the truck. March 29th, larf $800. Employee got hurt covering his hours. And so it goes. April, May, June, 6 months, $19,470. I underline the number circle at once. Travis always says he'll pay me back. Soon, like it's a promise that has shape and weight. But it's air. I've stopped expecting a deposit. I've stopped asking. Dinner is 2 eggs, the last from the carton. I sit in front of the TV with the volume low, more for the sound of company than the news. When I stand to take my plate to the sink, the room tips. A strange flicker runs through my vision. I catch myself on the wall before I fall. My knees tremble. My breath sticks. I slide down to the floor until it passes. I don't call anyone. Eventually, I crawl into bed with my clothes still on. The window is cracked open an inch. The only sound is the faint hum of Travis's old key in the lock another month. I don't plan to call her. It just happens. The night stretches long and the house feels heavier than usual. The hum of the refrigerator fills the silence. I sit at the kitchen table with my ledger open and the phone beside it. My hand moves before I can talk myself out of it. The line clicks twice before she answers. Mom. Her voice sounds alert awake. I check the clock. Nearly midnight in Austin. Hi, honey, I say. It comes out too soft, almost like I'm calling from underwater. She hesitates. Are you okay? That question undoes me. I try to swallow it down, but the tears come too fast. I tell her about the money, the truck, the envelope that disappears every month. My words spill out in pieces, breaking around the edges. Cora doesn't interrupt. I hear her breathing steady, grounded. When I finally stop, there's a long silence. Then her voice cuts through calm but sharp. Mom. You are not a wallet. You are a person. The sentence lands like a shock. I grip the phone tighter. He's your brother, I whisper. He's an adult, she says. And what he's doing isn't love. It's control. I hear tapping her laptop keys quick and deliberate. I'm booking a flight, she says. I'll be there tomorrow night. Don't give him another $1 until I get there. Cora. You don't need to. I do. Her tone leaves no space for argument. We'll fix this. When the call ends, I keep the phone against my ear for a while, listening to the empty static. The house is quiet again, but something inside me feels less hollow. I close the ledger and slide it into the drawer. Tomorrow she'll be here. For the first time in months, I lock the front door from the inside and turn off the kitchen light. The next evening, I hear a car pull into the driveway. Cora walks through the door with purpose, not a trace of hesitation in her step. She sets her suitcase by the couch, unzips it, and pulls out a thick navy binder before I can ask how the flight was. We sit at the dining table where Travis usually takes the envelope. Cora slides the binder toward me. Inside are plastic sleeves, paper tabs, highlighters tucked into the folds. She takes out my ledger, the one with all the notes, and lays it flat. Her eyes move line by line. With each entry, her brow tightens. She doesn't say anything at first, just keeps reading until the end. Then she leans back, the tips of her fingers pressing together. This isn't help, she says. This is financial abuse. The word makes my stomach turn. I reach for my tea, but my hand stops halfway. I didn't want to call it that, I say. You don't have to. I will. She opens her laptop and types something quickly, then turns the screen toward me. Elder financial exploitation, the page reads. I see a checklist. Monthly withdrawals, manipulation, emotional pressure, promised repayment, never delivered. I read my life in bullet points. We need someone who can say this out loud, in a courtroom, if it comes to that. I shake my head. I'm not trying to destroy him, Cora. We're not destroying him. We're protecting you. She clicks through a few pages, makes a short list, then picks up the phone. She dials the second number, puts it on speaker. Alvarez Law Group. This is Rosa. Cora gives my name, our town. The situation in brief. Then she hands me the phone. My throat is dry. I'd like to speak to someone about financial harm. From a family member. Rosa doesn't pause. We can set a consultation. Do you prefer in-person or phone? I look at Cora. She nods. In person, I say. The appointment is 2 days away. Cora puts the binder back in her lap and asks me for my utility bill. The office sits above a bakery that smells faintly of yeast and butter. Cora squeezes my hand once before we climb the narrow staircase. The sign on the door says, Alvarez Law Group in fading gold paint. Inside, everything is simple. 1 desk, 2 chairs, a filing cabinet that's seen years of stories like mine. Mr. Alvarez stands to greet us. He looks to be in his early 50s, his voice low and even. Mrs. Langley Ms. Price, he says, gesturing for us to sit. You're not alone. This is more common than you think. The words sink into me slowly. I nod, but don't trust myself to answer. Cora opens the binder, slides my ledger across the table. Mr. Alvarez adjusts his glasses, turns the first page, and begins to read. His face doesn't change, but every few lines he lets out a quiet breath, like someone marking invisible checkboxes. When he finishes, he folds his hands together. You've given your son more than your health could afford. The room feels still. I don't look at Cora. I'm afraid she'll see how much of that sentence feels like confession. Mr. Alvarez opens a folder. We can do this cleanly. A written agreement signed in my presence. Repayment in monthly installments. No accusations, no threats, just accountability. Cora leans forward. What happens if he refuses to sign? Then we escalate. But most people don't. Facing documentation often changes their tone. He pulls out a blank contract template and fills in the basics, my name. Travis's name, the total amount, the start date. His handwriting is neat, deliberate. You'll need to choose the setting, he says. Here, I ask. He shakes his head. Home. Familiar ground for him. Calm voice, steady posture. Let me handle the legal phrasing. I trace the edge of the paper. The idea of confronting Travis in my own kitchen feels like stepping into cold water. Still, I nod. Cora signs the retainer form. Mr. Alvarez adds his initials beside it. He looks up. The 28th is when he usually comes. Yes, I say. Always the 28th. He closes the folder. Then that's the day. The morning feels different, but I follow the same steps. Not out of habit, out of quiet resolve. I shower, dry my hair, and reach for the burgundy blouse hanging at the back of the closet. Travis once laughed at it, said it made me look too serious, like a principal. I button it, slowly smoothing the sleeves. Today, seriousness feels exactly right. I don't set the coffee pot. I don't put out the cinnamon cake he used to expect the one I always made the night before payday. The stove is cold. The house smells like fabric softener and floor polish, nothing warm, nothing sweet. Mr. Alvarez arrives 10 minutes early, briefcase in hand. He nods politely, sets up at the small dining table with a manila folder and 2 pens. Cora stands by the kitchen counter, silent, arms crossed. Her presence is steadying. At exactly 9:02, I hear the truck outside, the rumble of the engine, the careless way he swings the door shut. He doesn't knock, just lets himself in with the spare key I never asked him to return. Morning, Ma Travis calls. Got a minute? He steps into the kitchen, then stops. His eyes move from Mr. Alvarez to Cora, then to me. His smile flickers, then falters. What's going on? I motion toward the table. Sit down. He doesn't move right away, just looks between us. Then slowly, he pulls out a chair. His keys jingle as he tosses them onto the table like always. Mr. Alvarez opens the folder, unfolds the contract, and begins reading. His voice is even steady. Each term lands like a stone on still water. Travis's face shifts confusion, then disbelief, then something harder to name. I don't understand, he says. You do, I say, softly. You've understood for months. The room is quiet, except for the rustle of paper. I place the pen in front of him and slide the contract across the table. He stares at it, jaw tight. Then he leans back. You got a lawyer? I fold my hands. I did. He looks at me like he's seeing someone else entirely. Travis sits stiffly, his chair scraping against the floor. His phone is still in his hand, the screen lighting his knuckles. I wait until he finally sets it down. Mr. Alvarez clears his throat and begins his tone calm but deliberate. This document outlines the total amount loaned from Mrs. Langley to you, Mr. Langley, over a period of 6 months. The sum is $19,470. The repayment schedule begins 30 days from signing in monthly installments. Travis laughs once short and sharp. You can't be serious. I am, I say quietly. He turns toward me, face red. You think I'm some kind of thief? I told you I'd pay it back when things got better? You said that every month, I reply. My voice doesn't shake, though my hands rest in my lap, folded tight. Things never got better, only bigger. The truck, the restaurant dinners, the new equipment at the shop, those didn't sound like struggle. Mr. Alvarez stays silent, only sliding the pen toward him. Travis stares at it, then at the folder. What's this line about, not visiting? What I can't come see you now. Not until half is repaid, I say. That's what we agreed. His jaw tenses. So this is Cora's idea. Cora doesn't answer. She just watches him, her expression unreadable. This isn't about sides, I add. It's about survival. He pushes the contract back toward me, but Mr. Alvarez stops it with one hand. Mr. Langley refusing to sign doesn't erase the record. Your mother has documentation, and I am her legal representative. Travis looks from me to the lawyer and back again. The fight in his eyes fades a little. He picks up the pen, turns it in his fingers. Fine, he mutters. If this is what you want. He scrawls his name at the bottom, the ink cutting across the page. I sign beneath it, my signature steady. When we stand, he doesn't look at me. He grabs his keys and leaves without another word. The house is so quiet I can hear my heartbeat when the phone rings. The front door slammed hard enough to rattle the frame, but I didn't move. Mr. Alvarez gathered his papers without a word, left the signed copies on the table, and told me he'd file them in the morning. When the truck engine finally faded down the street, the quiet pressed against my chest. Cora made tea. Neither of us drank it. 2 hours later, the phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but Cora nodded toward it. Mrs. Langley. The voice was soft, hesitant. It's Vivian. For a moment, I couldn't speak. Then I said her name, and she sighed like she'd been holding her breath all day. I didn't know, she said. He told me the business was tight, that he needed short-term help. I thought you were just supporting him. He took everything I said. My voice sounded calm, but my hand shook against the receiver. 6 months' worth of my pension. There was silence on her end. Then the faint sound of a child's voice, Emma, asking, Is Grandma okay? Vivienne whispered. She's okay, baby. Then to me, I'm so sorry. I can't believe he. Her voice broke before she finished. I'll make it right. I'll co-sign whatever agreement you've made. I'll make sure the payments happen. You don't have to. I do, she said. For him, for the kids. For you. When we hung up, I sat for a long time with the phone still in my hand. The sound of Emma's voice lingered, small and worried. Cora came over and placed her hand on mine. This isn't about revenge, she said quietly. It's about truth. About setting things straight before it's too late. I nodded. The house smelled faintly of paper and ink from the contract, like something new beginning. Later that night, I opened my ledger one last time. The columns were neat and final. For the first time, I didn't add another line. The next morning, the first transfer appeared in my account. 3 months pass without a single missed payment. On the 15th of each month just after noon, the deposit arrives like clockwork. Not large, not everything, but enough. Enough to breathe. I buy a standing mixer I've wanted for years, the kind I used to use back when I made wedding cakes for neighbors. I get fresh produce from the Sunday market, real fruit, not canned, and a winter coat that fits properly, thick and lined, not just something from the clearance rack. At the pharmacy, I don't flinch when they say the total. I hand over my card without apology. The house feels warmer. Not because of the heater, though. I run it more freely now, but because the air isn't so heavy. I sleep better. I eat better. I speak louder. One afternoon, I take out a new notebook. On the cover, I write, Dolores' life. Not bills, not loans, not loss. Just notes about recipes. I want to try books I've seen at the library, reminders to call friends I haven't spoken to in years. I underline birthdays and write grocery lists with intention. Cora calls often, and every time we hang up, she tells me, You did the hard part, Mom. Vivienne comes by with the kids now and then. She doesn't mention Travis much. I don't ask. Emma runs to me the moment they walk in. Arms flung wide, eyes bright. I always have something small waiting for her. A warm muffin, a sticker book, a drawing pad. Travis hasn't returned, not yet. Sometimes when I'm sitting in the living room with Emma curled beside me, I think about what love is supposed to mean. Not obligation, not guilt dressed as gratitude. Love is presence. Love is return. Love is showing up without taking. I fold laundry. I water my plants. I sweep the front steps in the early morning light. The envelope is still in the drawer, but now it stays full. And I stay whole.